The hallways of West High smelled faintly of disinfectant and late spring sunlight. I leaned against my locker, backpack slung carelessly over one shoulder, heart hammering as I waited for him. My best friend, my secret, my everything, Cole Maddox. "Hey, nerd," he called from the far end of the hall, voice casual, the grin in his tone impossible to resist. He sauntered toward me, helmet tucked under one arm, hair slightly damp from practice, shoulders broad, confidence radiating in every step. "You're late," I said, though my heart thudded for reasons I couldn't quite name. "I was early," he countered, ducking his head so I could bump my shoulder against his. That small contact sent a spark up my arm. I had felt that jolt every time he leaned too close, every time his laugh brushed against me, every time our hands accidentally, or deliberately, touched. No one suspected. Everyone thought we were just best friends. It was the perfect cover for a romance that no one could understand anyway. The star hockey player and the quiet, nerdy kid? Totally believable as friends. But what they didn't know, what no one could ever see, was that every touch, every glance, every whispered word was a secret promise. "You know," Cole said, voice low, leaning slightly closer, "if anyone knew how much time you spend with me, they'd freak." I rolled my eyes, smiling despite my nerves. "They'd probably say the same thing about you." "You're my nerd," he murmured, thumb brushing over my hand, fingers curling around mine. "Don't let anyone else near me." "And you're mine," I whispered, heart skipping. Every time he said it, every time he touched me like that, it was a reminder of what we had, fragile, hidden, but ours. We had been dating like this for months, carefully threading intimacy through the guise of friendship. Lunch breaks were stolen kisses hidden behind textbooks. Late nights were whispered calls, phone lines connecting us across miles, full of promises and quiet laughter. Practice sessions ended in locker room touches that seemed innocent enough if anyone saw, but in reality were electric, charged with longing and possession. Cole's possessiveness was subtle but unmistakable. He would joke about other guys looking at me or hand me off to him first in hallways, his grip on my arm firm, almost territorial. And I loved it, secretly, fiercely. "I can't believe you're dating me," I said one afternoon, backpack heavy on my shoulder as we walked to class. "The star of the hockey team chooses me." He smirked, nudging my shoulder with his own. "You're my nerd. I wouldn't trade you for anyone." "I don't want to be traded," I muttered, resting my head briefly against his shoulder. His warmth was comforting, grounding me in a world that felt dangerous when it came to our secret. Then came the thought of prom. I wanted one night where we could be ourselves, without the world watching, without secrets. I wanted to step out of the shadows with him. "Cole," I said one night after practice, my voice tight, "will you go to prom with me?" He froze, eyes wide, hand resting on his helmet. "With you? You mean like actually?" "Just us," I said firmly. "No one else. One night where it's just you and me. No secrets, no pretenses." Cole hesitated. His fingers toyed nervously with the strap of his bag. "You know, if anyone found out." "I don't care," I interrupted, my chest tightening. "I just want you. Just us." His jaw tightened, and for a moment, I saw that flicker of fear I had grown to recognize. "Finally," he said, "I'll go. I promise. Just you and me." Relief washed over me, almost too intense to bear. I pressed my forehead against his shoulder. "Just us. Just us," he echoed, though the shadow of fear lingered in his eyes. Prom night arrived with the gymnasium glowing under lanterns and soft lights. I stood in the secluded corner we had chosen, heart hammering in my chest, suit neat, hair in place, rehearsing how I would finally have him all to myself. Minutes passed. My phone buzzed, a text from him. "Be there soon. Just wait for me." I smiled, stomach flipping. Soon. Just us. One night where the world couldn't touch what was ours. But then I saw him. Cole, laughing, hand in hand with his ex-girlfriend. The world tilted. My chest tightened so sharply I thought I would collapse. The words he had promised, the intimate, private promise, the whispered "just us," were gone. Every stolen moment, every late-night call, every touch we had shared, all shattered. He saw me. I thought maybe, just maybe, he would run to me, explain, apologize. But the flicker of guilt in his eyes vanished in an instant. That confident, charming grin returned, the one everyone adored. He had made his choice. And it wasn't me. I turned and ran. Tears blurred my vision. Humiliation, heartbreak, and betrayal burned hotter than anything I had ever known. My world, our world, was gone. The weeks that followed were unbearable. I avoided him at all costs, every hallway and classroom a minefield. Every glance from him was a reminder, every passing mention of prom a knife twisting in my chest. I buried myself in schoolwork, in books, in anything to avoid the memories. And yet, nothing could erase him. The playful touches, the whispered promises, the nights of laughter and stolen kisses, they haunted me relentlessly. I loved him, and I had been betrayed. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I sat across from my parents, heart pounding, tears streaming, voice barely a whisper. I can't stay here. Not after what happened, I choked out. I can't see him every day, knowing he lied to me. I need to leave. Please, let me go live with Aunt Claire and finish high school there. My mother's eyes were wide, stunned. My father frowned, concern etched across his face. Julian, are you sure? My mother asked gently. I have to, I said, voice breaking. I can't stay here. I'll never get over him otherwise. They hesitated, but seeing the raw heartbreak in my eyes, they finally agreed. I packed my bags, leaving behind my school, my friends, and most of all, the boy I loved and lost. I don't know if I will ever see Cole again. But I do know this. When I do, nothing will be the same. Every laugh, every glance, every whisper just has etched itself into me. And even if years pass, even if I try to move on, a piece of my heart will always belong to him. The locker room smelled of sweat, ice, and disinfectant. The kind of smell that clung to you hours after practice, making every breath a reminder of where I was and who I was about to face. Cole Maddox, NHL superstar. My past. My nightmare. He was leaning against the lockers, shoulder guards slung over one arm, skates dangling from the other. Broad, confident, every inch the star player the media adored. And my heart, it betrayed me, racing like the first day I'd ever fallen for him. I hated him. I hated how he still had that smirk, the one that had broken my heart at prom. I hated the way his eyes darkened when they landed on me, like he was claiming me again. And I hated myself for noticing, for feeling the pull I had sworn years ago I would bury forever. Julian. His voice was low, smooth, dangerous. The same voice that had haunted my dreams for years. I looked up, gripping my clipboard like it was armor. Cole, I said flatly. He smirked, stepping closer, shoulders brushing against mine under the guise of passing through. You've grown, he said, eyes scanning me like I belonged to him, which, if we were honest, I did. Professional, I said sharply, adjusting the papers in my hand. I'm here to treat injuries, not revisit old mistakes. Cole's grin widened. Mistakes? You mean us? He leaned casually against the treatment table, arms crossed, heat radiating off him. Funny. I don't think it was a mistake. I froze. The room felt smaller suddenly, the ice-cold air stinging my skin. You don't get to decide that, Cole. Ah, but do, he said, smirking. Always have. Always will. The first session was a war. I was supposed to focus on his strained shoulder, guiding him through stretches, but every touch, every adjustment, felt like a calculated attack. He leaned in too close, shoulder brushing mine, fingers accidentally lingering on my arm. Every inch of proximity reminded me of high school, of stolen kisses, whispered promises, and a betrayal I'd never forgiven. You're stiff, I muttered, forcing myself to stay professional. Cole's gaze didn't waver. Stiff? Or you're tense around me? His tone was low, teasing, dangerous. Still scared of me, nerd? I wanted to snap. I'm not scared. I hate you. He chuckled softly, leaning closer. Hate keeps you mine. Don't pretend you've forgotten me. I pushed back, just enough to create space, but my chest ached with the tension, my stomach twisting in ways I hated. He was right, I hadn't forgotten. And the idea that he still considered me, his made my blood burn in frustration. Days passed, each session escalating the torment. Cole would brush past me in the hallways, leaning close enough that our hips almost touched. During treatments, his eyes followed mine, smoldering with possessive intent. Every gesture, every word, every smirk was a challenge. One afternoon, he leaned over me while I adjusted his hip, voice low and teasing. Still stiff. Still resisting me. I'm resisting you, I spat, anger flaring. I'm not here for this. Not for you. Not for your games. Games? His grin was wicked. You think this is a game? Nerd, you belong to me. Always have. And I'm not letting go. I wanted to shove him. To scream. To storm out. But the tension, the possessiveness, the dark heat radiating off him. It was suffocating. And despite my fury, my body betrayed me, leaning slightly toward him before I jerked away, furious at myself. Watching him joke with teammates and laugh at fans made my chest tighten with anger and longing. I hated how easy it was for him to command attention, to make everyone swoon. And yet, I hated myself for caring. Cole noticed, of course. One evening, as I adjusted his knee, he murmured, "You're tense again." "Don't worry, I see it. I know it's because of me." "I don't care," I said, voice shaking. He smirked, leaning closer, lips brushing my ear as he whispered, "You care. You always do." The tension finally snapped during a late-night practice session. He pulled a muscle, and I was helping him stretch. His hands lingered on my waist, tracing just enough to make me furious and dizzy at the same time. "You're resisting me," he growled. "I can feel it. Fight all you want, nerd. But you're mine. I hate you," I spat, turning my head away. "I've hated you since high school, and I don't need you. Stay away." Cole's grip tightened slightly, possessive, unyielding. "Hate me all you want. It doesn't matter. You belong to me, Julian. You've always belonged to me." I could feel it then, the undeniable truth I hated to admit. He had me even now. My rage mingled with desire, humiliation with longing, creating a storm I couldn't escape. And the worst part, I knew he enjoyed it. Cole Maddox, my NHL star, my tormentor, my obsession, was winning. And he wasn't even trying. The hotel corridors buzzed with noise, laughter, music, the muffled thump of bass from behind closed doors. The team had won tonight, and everyone was celebrating. Everyone except me. I had no business at their after-party. My job was to keep their bodies functioning, not drink with them. Still, I needed to drop off the updated injury reports with the coaching staff before I could finally retreat to my own room and maybe, for once, sleep without dreaming about him. When the coach's suite door opened, it wasn't the coach I saw but Tyler, one of the rookies. Still in his team hoodie, hair damp from a shower, face bright with boyish energy. "Doc," he said with a grin. "Hey, thanks again for working on my shoulder earlier. Feels way better already." "Good," I said, keeping my tone polite, professional. "Make sure you ice it tonight and don't push it tomorrow. You're healing, not invincible." He laughed, leaning against the doorframe. Right. Hey, what kind of stretches do you recommend before warm-ups?" I adjusted the folder under my arm, answering out of habit. It was a simple question. Professional. But as I spoke, I felt it, the prickling weight of a stare. I didn't need to turn to know who it was. My body already knew. Cole Maddox. When I finally looked, he was only a few doors down, leaning against the wall in a fitted t-shirt, hair damp and messy from a shower. His arms were folded across his chest, but the tension in his jaw, the darkness in his eyes, it was unmistakable. He was watching me. Watching us. Tyler thanked me, clapped my shoulder, and ducked back inside. I barely had time to breathe before Cole was in front of me, cutting off my path. What the hell was that? His voice was low, rough. I blinked, tight-lipped. "Excuse me?" His eyes narrowed. "With Tyler. You were smiling at him." I let out a humorless laugh. "I was being professional. You were smiling." His tone sharpened, raw, dangerous. "At him. You're insane," I hissed, moving to brush past him. But his hand shot out, gripping my wrist. The same hand that used to hold me under bleachers, in empty classrooms, like I was his entire world. His touch burned like it always had. "Cole, let go." He didn't. Instead, he yanked me down the hall, ignoring my protests, my curses. He shoved open his own suite door, dragged me inside, and slammed it shut with a final click. The room was quiet, too quiet, just his harsh breathing and my racing pulse. And then he caged me against the door, his arms braced on either side of my head. His eyes burned into mine, dark and furious and unbearably familiar. "You keep running," he growled. "Every time. Practice, locker room, hallways always running. And now you're smiling at him?" I glared back at him, even though my chest was tight and my throat ached. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to drag me around like you're mine." His lips curled into something sharp, something desperate. "Because you are, Julian. You always were." I shoved at his chest, hating the way it felt solid under my palms. "You don't get to say that. Not after what you did." "I was a coward," he snapped, voice cracking. 17 and terrified. Do you get that? I was drowning in pressure. Scouts watching me, teammates idolizing me, the whole damn school depending on me. And then there was you. You were the only thing that was real. And I was scared shitless that if anyone knew, I'd lose everything. "You didn't just say no." I shot back, my voice breaking. "You promised me you'd be there. You promised you'd pick me." And then you showed up with her. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You shattered me, Cole. I begged my parents to ship me across the country because I couldn't even breathe without remembering that night. His jaw clenched. For once, he didn't have a smirk or a comeback. Just pain. I swallowed hard, tears burning my eyes. And maybe I was wrong too, I whispered. I pushed you. I asked you to go to prom with me when I knew you weren't ready. I wanted all of you, right then, right there, and I didn't think about how scared you were. I should have seen it. I should have given you time. He flinched like the words cut him. My voice cracked. But that doesn't erase what you did. It doesn't erase the fact that you chose humiliation over honesty. So no, Cole. I can't just forgive you because you've decided you're ready now. For a moment, silence hung heavy between us. His chest heaved, his eyes wild, and then he broke. His forehead pressed to mine, his voice raw. Then tell me how. Tell me what I have to do. I'll do anything, Jules. I'll beg. I'll crawl. I'll spend the rest of my life proving to you that I'm not that cowardly kid anymore. His hand trembled against my jaw. Just don't walk away. Don't shut me out again. My breath caught, my body traitorously leaning into his touch, even as my heart screamed to push him away. This was Cole, not the golden NHL star, but the boy who used to kiss me breathless behind closed doors. The boy who used to whisper forever. And now he was groveling, breaking, desperate in a way that terrified me more than his arrogance ever had. You can't fix this overnight, I whispered. And I'm not some prize you get to claim just because you've decided I'm worth the risk now. You don't owe me anymore. His thumb brushed my cheek, tender even in his intensity. Then I'll earn you back, he said fiercely. Every damn day if I have to. You can hate me, you can fight me, but I'll still be here. Because you are mine, even if it takes the rest of my life to prove it. And the worst part was, I wanted to believe him. I kept waiting for him to slip. That was the only way I knew how to survive the weeks after the hotel incident, by convincing myself that Cole couldn't keep it up, that he'd eventually go back to the arrogant, careless boy who had broken me. Because if I let myself believe he'd changed, if I let myself trust him again, it would be like ripping open an old wound just to watch myself bleed. But he didn't slip. Not once. He stopped taking phone numbers from girls shoved into his hands after games. He ignored every flirtatious fan who lingered by the rink, every whispered rumor about him partying with models. When teammates cracked jokes at my expense, the team nerd, Doc Stiff. Or worse, Cole shut them down with a glare sharp enough to cut glass. And though he didn't touch me the way he used to, I caught him hovering. Always a step away, always watching, always ready to step in if I stumbled. It should have been infuriating. Instead, it terrified me. Because every quiet gesture chipped at the wall I'd spent years building. Every time I caught his eyes across the locker room, burning with something raw and unshakable, I felt 17 again, both desperate and destroyed. And I hated that part of me wanted to believe him this time. The playoffs crept closer, each game tighter, the pressure heavier. Cole thrived under it, skating like fire was in his veins. He was ruthless on the ice, the kind of player who made the crowd hold its breath, but off the ice? He was patient. Too patient. One night, after a particularly brutal win, I found myself alone in the training room, icing a rookie's shoulder when Cole slipped in. He didn't say a word, just leaned against the wall, watching. His presence filled the room like a storm cloud. You can't keep following me around, I muttered, keeping my eyes on the bag of ice in my hands. I'm not following, he said, voice low. I'm waiting. I looked up, scowling. For what? For you to admit you still want me. The words lodged in my chest like a blade. My hands trembled as I shoved the ice pack into the freezer. You think you can just wait me out? That one kiss in a hotel room makes up for everything. His jaw tightened. No, I think I have to prove myself. And I will. For as long as it takes. I swallowed hard, hating the way my throat burned. I begged you to show up for me once, Cole. Just once. And you didn't. His eyes darkened, haunted. I'll spend the rest of my life making up for that night. And then he left, leaving me gasping in the silence. By the time the semifinal rolled around, the entire team was running on adrenaline and nerves. The city buzzed with anticipation, cameras flashing, reporters circling. Cole carried the weight of it all with that same fierce focus, but I knew better. I knew every time his gaze flickered toward the bench, he wasn't looking at his teammates, he was looking at me. The game was brutal, bodies colliding against glass, sweat and blood staining the ice. Cole fought like a man possessed, scoring the tying goal, then the winning one in overtime. The arena erupted, fans screaming, banners waving. I should have been focused on the injured players streaming toward me. I should have been thinking about ice packs, stitches, and protocols. But all I could see was him. Helmet off, hair damp, eyes wild with triumph as his teammates mobbed him. Cole Hale, the star, the captain, the man the city adored. And the man who had once kissed me in the shadows, promising forever. The press swarmed him before he even left the ice. Reporters shoved microphones in his face, shouting over the roar of the crowd. How does it feel, Hale, to send your team to the finals? You played like a man on fire. What was fueling you tonight? Any words for your fans? He was panting, sweat glistening, adrenaline still radiating off him. And then his gaze cut through the chaos, straight to me. My stomach dropped. I've waited years for this, Cole growled into the mic. His chest heaved, his eyes locked on mine. Not just for the cup. For the person I love to finally see I'll never let him down again. The arena went still for a breathless moment. And then the noise detonated. Cheers, gasps, reporters shrieking questions. Who? Who's he talking about? Cameras swung wildly, searching the crowd, scanning the bench. My lungs seized. My clipboard slipped from my hands, clattering to the floor. No. No. I turned on my heel and bolted down the tunnel, heart pounding, heat crawling up my neck. This couldn't be happening. He couldn't have just outed himself, outed me, on national television. Julian, his voice thundered down the corridor. Heavy footsteps pounded behind me. And then a hand, familiar, hot, unrelenting, closed around my wrist, spinning me into the shadowed alcove beneath the stands. You're out of your mind, I hissed, shoving at his chest. My heart was a runaway drum. Do you realize what you've just done? In front of millions. Yes. His voice was low, fierce, eyes blazing. And I'd do it again. Cole. No, he stepped in, caging me against the wall, breath hot against my skin. I'm done hiding. I'm done pretending. I'm done letting fear dictate my life and yours. I shook my head, choking on fury and panic. You don't get to make that decision for me. You don't get to drag me into your spotlight because you finally grew a spine. His jaw clenched, pained. Julian, you broke me, I spat, voice cracking. Do you know what it was like? Begging you to stand beside me, and watching you choose her instead. My chest heaved. Do you know how long it took me to glue myself back together? His expression shattered. He pressed his palms flat against the wall on either side of me, trembling with restraint. I was a coward, he admitted, voice raw. I wasn't ready. You asked for forever, and I wanted it, but I was terrified. And instead of telling you, I destroyed us. I'll regret it until the day I die. Tears stung my eyes. You think words fix that? No, he growled, desperate. I think this does. And then his mouth was on mine. It wasn't soft. It was fire, teeth, heat. Years of anger and longing combusting in a kiss that stole my breath. I shoved at him, then pulled him closer, fisting his jersey like a drowning man. His hands cupped my jaw, rough and trembling, holding me like I was the only thing keeping him alive. The kiss turned frantic, messy, like neither of us could get enough. My back hit the wall, his body pressed flush against mine, every inch of him shouting possession. When we tore apart, gasping, his forehead pressed to mine, eyes wild. I love you, he panted. I've always loved you. And now the whole damn world knows it. I'm not hiding you ever again. My heart stuttered, my chest aching. You don't get to claim me. I do, he cut in fierce. Because you're mine, Julian. You always were. And I'll spend every day proving I'm yours too. I wanted to shove him away. I wanted to scream that I couldn't forgive him. But instead, my lips found his again, softer this time, trembling, desperate. And for the first time in years, I let myself believe. The world outside roared with speculation. Reporters clamored, teammates whispered, fans buzzed. But in that shadowed alcove, pressed against Cole's chest, his hands anchoring me like I was the only solid thing in the world, none of it mattered. Because he had finally done what I begged for all those years ago. He had chosen me.